They wear skirts, they paint their nails, and they've got more followers than your favorite straight boy band. These 10 LGBTQ plus TikTok stars from Asia aren't here to explain themselves. They're here to steal the spotlight. They've been called too much, too soft, too weird. But in 2025, too much is exactly what the world needs. You think TikTok is all dance trends? Think again. This is identity. This is defiance. This is real. Let's meet the rule breakers who turned being queer into a super. She wasn't born to blend in. She was born to break through. Long before the world knew the name Plastique Tiara, a young Vietnamese boy named Duc Wen stood in front of a mirror in Texas, lip-syncing to pop divas and dreaming of something bigger than the life he was told to live. While others saw just another immigrant kid, Duc saw something different. Something fierce, fabulous, and full of fire. That mirror became his first stage, and in time, the world would become his runway. With every wig, every contour, and every strut, he wasn't hiding. He was finally becoming. And when RuPaul's Drag Race came calling, Plastique didn't just show up, she arrived. Stunning the judges with beauty, grace, and a silent kind of power, she proved you don't need to shout to own the spotlight. But it wasn't just about glamour, it was about grit. Rising from humble beginnings in Saigon to becoming the most followed drag queen on TikTok, with over 13 million fans, Plastique turned pain into power. Her performances weren't just for fun, they were healing. For every queer Asian kid who felt invisible, she became a symbol that said, "You belong. You are enough." Through her comedy, cosplay, and jaw-dropping looks, she bridged cultures, blending her Vietnamese heritage with Western drag artistry in a way that hadn't been seen before. She wasn't just serving face, she was serving hope. In a digital world full of noise, Plastique carved a space for quiet strength and queer joy to shine through. And in doing so, she didn't just become famous, she became necessary. Now, she walks in stilettos but stands for something bigger. To her fans, she's not just a performer, she's a revolution draped in rhinestones. A reminder that identity isn't binary, and beauty has no borders. From slaying on the runway to slaying stigma, Plastique Tiara continues to evolve. Always elegant, always unapologetic. And just as her lashes reach new heights, so does her influence. She opened doors and then turned around to hold them open for others. One of those others? A name that blends beauty, brains, and boldness from a different corner of Asia. Let's meet the man redefining masculinity across China and beyond, Edison Fan. Edison Fan. He wasn't born into fame, he built it. One photo, one post, one boundary-pushing moment at a time. Edison Fan isn't just a model, he's a movement, a quiet storm that reshaped Asia's image of masculinity. With sculpted features, a body built like art, and a stare that could melt glass, Edison didn't just show up on screens, he seduced them. From New Zealand to China, his rise was far from conventional. Trained as a pharmacist, Edison was expected to follow the rules, to live quietly and blend in. But what happens when your truth is too bold to hide behind a lab coat? Edison made a decision. He wouldn't dim himself for anyone's comfort. His breakthrough came not from mainstream media, but from the internet, a place where he could shape his own narrative. Shirtless selfies turned into subtle statements. Every flex, every smirk on screen wasn't just thirst trap material, it was a rebellion against stereotypes, against shame, against the silence that so many queer men in Asia are forced to endure. Edison Fan didn't scream his sexuality, he lived it out loud with elegance and control. On Weibo, TikTok, and Instagram, he blurred the lines between influencer, artist, and activist. He's never needed to label himself. His presence is the message. Queer beauty exists. Asian masculinity is powerful. And you don't need permission to own either. But behind the sculpted abs and sunlit selfies, there's something even deeper. Vulnerability. Edison has spoken about body dysmorphia, the pressures of beauty, and the fear of being too much for Asian audiences. And yet, he keeps showing up. For the boys who thought they had to shrink, for the men who didn't believe they could be both soft and strong, for the next generation of queer creators who deserve to be seen as they are. In 2025, Edison Fan isn't just a TikTok thirst trap. He's proof that visibility, done on your own terms, can be revolutionary. And if you think Edison was bold, wait until you meet the next name on our list. A fierce icon who broke out of Korea with paint, passion, and unapologetic pride. Let's talk about Bain, the artist who made being loud and proud not just acceptable, but irresistible. Bain? They called him unpredictable, unfiltered, but maybe that's exactly what K-pop needed. Bain, born Song Jae-young, didn't follow the blueprint of a typical Korean idol. He ripped it apart, with eyeliner sharper than any blade, a gaze that melted camera lenses, and stage moves that blurred the lines between masculine and feminine. Bain rose not just as a singer, but as a symbol. In an industry famous for conformity and control, Bain's refusal to tame his fire made him both a controversy magnet and a quiet revolution. Every flick of his wrist, every daring outfit, every wink at the camera, a subtle rebellion. A coded love letter to every kid in Seoul who grew up feeling different and afraid to say it out loud. Long before he had millions of views on TikTok and fan edits flooding every corner of the internet, Bain was a trainee fighting to be heard. He danced like he had something to prove, because he did. In a world that wanted him in a box, he kicked his way out with rhythm, attitude, and a stubborn sense of self. Debuting with Just Be in 2021, Bain quickly caught attention for more than just his vocals. His gender-bending fashion, his flirtatious presence online, his unapologetically androgynous beauty. It wasn't just K-pop fans who noticed. LGBTQ+ teens across Asia started reposting his clips, calling him one of us. And while Bain has never put a label on himself, his silence only adds fuel to the fire. It makes his every move a little more iconic. Because sometimes, silence speaks louder than declarations. And Bain's presence on TikTok, sultry, bold, and ever-evolving, is a reminder that queerness doesn't always come with a name tag. It comes with power, with flair, with the quiet courage to just be. Whether he's lip-syncing in fishnet or walking through Seoul in an oversized blazer and painted nails, Bain doesn't ask for permission. He exists, loudly, gracefully, defiantly. And for a new generation of queer fans in Asia, that's more than enough. But if you thought Bain was bold, wait until you meet our next star. Yani Macute. He didn't arrive with fireworks. He arrived like a storm you didn't see coming, quiet, steady, and suddenly everywhere. Yani Macute may not be the loudest voice on TikTok, but he doesn't have to be. His presence, that mix of delicate visuals, boyish charm, and unapologetically feminine energy, speaks louder than any shout ever could. Born in the Philippines, Yani wasn't raised to seek attention. In fact, his earliest videos were almost whispered, soft dances, fleeting glances, intimate lighting, and captions that felt like secrets. But there was power in that softness. In a space where most creators scream for clout, Yani created a sanctuary, a mood, a vibe, a subtle rebellion against toxic masculinity. His identity? Fluid, feminine, fierce. And his message? You don't need to conform to be captivating. As his following grew, so did the risks. Yani began incorporating bolder fashion, flirtier captions, and stories that hinted at struggles beneath the aesthetics. Trolls came for him, brands ghosted him, but Yani didn't break, he bloomed. For many in Southeast Asia, he became a symbol, proof that you can be queer, soft, and still take up space. Whether he's dancing in a crop top or dropping truths about internalized shame, Yani doesn't just entertain, he empowers. Behind the lashes and lace is a quiet fighter, one who reminds us that even softness can be revolutionary. But Yani's impact doesn't end with him, because just when you think you've seen it all, a new firecracker enters the room. Louder, bolder, and impossible to ignore. Ready to meet the wildest pink-haired twink to ever break the algorithm? Let's talk about Abe Yoon. Abe Yoon. He wasn't loud, he wasn't flashy, but when Abe Yoon walked into a frame, you looked, and you didn't look away. In a TikTok world full of chaos and clout chasers, Abe stood out by doing the opposite. Quiet confidence, soft charm, a wink of rebellion in every move. Born and raised in South Korea, he never quite fit the traditional mold. But maybe that's exactly what made him magnetic. With each post, Abe blurred lines between gender, genre, and expectation. His makeup tutorials weren't just about color, they were about courage. His fashion wasn't about trends, it was about truth. Whether in a pink satin crop top or a sharp-shouldered blazer, Abe never asked for approval. He simply existed, beautifully, and in doing so, gave others the permission to do the same. Abe rose to fame not with shock, but with style. His androgynous looks, feathered brows, and hauntingly soft features made him a muse for a new generation of beauty. In a landscape still learning how to embrace queerness, he didn't shout his identity, he lived it, frame by frame. Every tutorial, every slow-mo lip sync, every behind-the-scenes laugh with friends, it all told a bigger story, that authenticity doesn't have to scream to be powerful. Abe made being gentle look revolutionary. And that's the thing, it was. Because in conservative circles, softness in men isn't seen as strength. But Abe, he turned that narrative on its head and made millions rethink what masculinity can look like when it's dipped in vulnerability. He's more than a trend, he's a quiet revolution. And just when you think you've figured him out, Abe Yoon reminds you, identity isn't static, and beauty doesn't ask permission. And now, from soft glam to full drag glory, let's meet a queen who's rewriting the rules of Asian queer representation, one rhinestone at a time, Nymphia Wind. Nymphia Wind. He didn't just walk into the Drag Race stage, he floated in, like a cloudburst of color, chaos, and culture. And when the wind settled, a new icon had emerged. His name is Nymphia Wind, and honey, he's the eye of the storm. Born as Leo Tsai in Taiwan, this soft-spoken artist never imagined he'd one day become the most talked-about name in drag. As a child, Leo was shy, more interested in doodling on the margins of textbooks than standing in the spotlight. But art, fashion, and a fascination with performance slowly pushed him toward the extraordinary. After moving to the United States to study, Leo's world cracked open. Drag wasn't just a hobby, it was a lifeline. He became Nymphia Wind, a whirlwind of surreal visuals, banana yellow glam, and high-concept runway looks that made even seasoned queens do a double take. On season 16 of RuPaul's Drag Race, Nymphia didn't just compete, she redefined the game. Where others brought beauty, she brought vision. Where others gave drama, she gave depth. Every look was a love letter to her culture. From Taiwanese street food to traditional puppetry to abstract art inspired by Yayoi Kusama. And behind the exaggerated lashes and whimsical wigs, a man who understood the power of representation. When Nymphia took the crown, she made her story, becoming the first queen from East Asia to win a mainline drag race season. For every Asian kid who felt too weird or too loud, she became proof that the wind can shift in your favor. But the story doesn't end with a crown. For Leo, for Nymphia, this is just the beginning. He's now a global icon, using his platform to elevate Asian queer voices, speak against racism in the LGBTQ+ community, and challenge Western drag norms with unapologetic creativity. Whether he's strutting down a Paris runway or live streaming from Taipei in full banana regalia, one thing is clear. Nymphia Wind isn't here to blend in. He's here to shake things up and leave glitter in every gust. Bryanboy. He didn't walk into fashion. He stormed it in heels with a blog and no apologies. In the early 2000s, while most fashion lovers waited for Vogue to tell them what to wear, Bryanboy was already setting trends from his childhood bedroom in Manila. With nothing but a laptop, a sharp wit, and an eye for drama, he became one of the internet's first true fashion influencers. His blog wasn't just commentary, it was confession, performance, rebellion. He mixed couture with camp, runway with realness, and somehow made Louis Vuitton look right at home next to palm trees and plastic chairs. People laughed. Then they followed. And just like that, the boy who once got bullied for being too much became a global icon for being exactly that. But Bryanboy didn't just change the internet. He helped change fashion itself. When front rows were still ruled by gatekeepers in gray suits, he crashed the party in Technicolor. Marc Jacobs named a handbag after him. Anna Wintour took notice. And suddenly, the industry that once ignored outsiders was buzzing about a queer Filipino blogger who didn't care about rules. What made Bryanboy powerful wasn't just style, it was voice. He made it okay to be loud, to be weird, to be unapologetically fabulous in an industry that often prized silence and sameness. Behind the dramatic outfits and biting captions was a deeper message. That visibility is power, and that fashion should be for everyone, not just the elite few. Today, Bryanboy is more than an influencer. He's a legend still evolving. From TikTok commentary to his seat as a judge on Next in Fashion, his voice now shapes the very future of the runway. He's become the bridge between old-school fashion houses and Gen Z chaos. Always fabulous, always one tweet away from viral. But at his core, Bryanboy remains the same, a kid with big dreams and a bigger voice, using fashion to tell the world exactly who he is. His journey is proof that authenticity isn't a trend, it's a revolution. Mad Tsai, what if the classic high school narrative was told through the lens of a queer Asian Latinx teen? Mad Tsai isn't just asking the question, he's living the answer. Born Jonathan Andrew Tsai on July 13, 2001 in Huntington Beach, California, Mad Tsai is a Taiwanese-Peruvian singer-songwriter who has captivated Gen Z audiences with his authentic storytelling and catchy melodies. His musical journey began at 13, crafting songs that delved into themes of identity, mental health, and self-discovery. While attending UCLA, majoring in music industry and English, Tsai's breakout came during the COVID-19 pandemic when he shared his on TikTok under the handle @MadsTParty. His debut single, Boy Bye, a candid exploration of bisexuality, resonated deeply, amassing over 19 million streams on Spotify. This track, which he used to come out to his mother, showcased his ability to blend humor with heartfelt emotion, setting the tone for his subsequent works. Tsai's discography is a testament to his commitment to redefining the coming-of-age narrative. Songs like Stacy's Brother and In My Head subvert traditional tropes, presenting queer perspectives in mainstream pop. His 2024 EP, Teenage Nightmare, delves into the complexities of adolescence, touching on trauma, identity, and the disillusionment of youth. By integrating elements from his favorite media, such as Avatar: The Last Airbender, and drawing inspiration from artists like Lana Del Rey, Tsai crafts a unique sonic landscape that speaks to the multifaceted experiences of modern youth. Mad Tsai's influence extends beyond music. He's a beacon for underrepresented voices in the entertainment industry. By openly embracing his queer identity and cultural heritage, he offers visibility to communities often marginalized in pop culture. His success underscores the importance of diverse narratives and the power of authenticity in resonating with audiences. As Tsai reshapes the musical landscape with his poignant storytelling, another trailblazer is making waves in the world of drag performance. Enter Brigiding, a Filipino drag queen whose vibrant artistry and fearless expression are redefining the boundaries of performance art. Brigiding? She wasn't born on a runway. She built one, with grit, glitter, and a grin that defied every box they tried to put her in. In the world of drag, where identity is both armor and art, Brigiding didn't just show up, she exploded. From Manila's underground clubs to the global spotlight, Brigiding turned every look, every lip sync, every moment into a declaration of self. Long before the wigs, the lashes, and the spotlight, Brigiding was just John Philip Arisheta, a boy from Mandaluyong, Metro Manila, who dreamed in color while the world tried to paint in grayscale. Growing up in the Philippines, queerness wasn't always safe, but it was always real. John didn't fit in, not at school, not in church, not in the mirror, where expectation clashed with identity. But deep inside, he knew that who he was couldn't be silenced, only styled louder. As he discovered drag, something clicked. Not as an escape, but as a revelation. Brigiding was born, not just as a persona, but as a permission slip to finally exist without apology. She wasn't content with applause and smoky bars. Brigiding wanted to elevate drag, not just perform it. She co-founded Drag Playhouse PH, built stages for others to shine, and helped drag become more than nightlife. It became culture. Her break into the mainstream came with Drag Race Philippines, where she stunned with fashion, fire, and fearlessness. Whether she was giving fierce couture or bearing her soul on the runway, Brigiding reminded everyone, drag is not just about beauty. It's about truth. And her truth? Bold, unfiltered, and queer. The kind of truth that doesn't whisper, it sings. Brigiding's legacy isn't just in the looks she served, it's in the lives she touched. She shattered stereotypes about what it means to be Filipino, queer, and powerful. She's proudly gender-fluid in performance, but biologically male, and unashamedly queer. She uses both she-her and he-him, depending on the space, the moment, the mood. That fluidity isn't confusion, it's freedom. And in every performance, she gives others permission to be free too. Brigiding didn't just walk in heels, she marched. For visibility, for love, for every kid who was once told they were too much. She is proudly too much, and the world is finally catching up. From fierce drag queens to unapologetic queer voices, these 10 TikTok stars aren't just breaking the internet, they're breaking barriers. They challenge the norm, inspire change, and remind millions across Asia that being loud, bold, and yourself is the real revolution. Their stories aren't just content, they're culture. So if their energy moved you, if their courage made you pause, don't stop here. Hit that like, share the vibe, and subscribe, where pride meets power and every story counts.